Guys, today's show is going to be about politics. It's going to be happening and discussing what's happened with Charlie Kirk and his assassination and how the extreme right and left side of the people that are just causing turmoil and now just not talking about it, but in fact, now acting on it. When you see young, up and coming individuals married with children that truly their lives have been taken, these are sad times and it's affecting our portfolio. So, what I want to do today, I'm going to talk about some of the things that you can take action on. And then I'm going to give you proof why it doesn't matter which political party you're affiliated with and which political party is calling the shots. So, enjoy today's episode. And we're going to go over a lot of information. And you can also get this on YouTube where you can actually see the video, the data of the things I'm sharing, or feel free to visit falconwealthplanning.com/elections. Enjoy the show. Lots to talk about today, folks. Today, I wanted to spend time because last week I was in conferences the whole week. So I had my show, I had my episode actually pre recorded. And a lot has happened in the world in the past few weeks. And quite frankly, just last week, we had the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and we had just so much, I feel, political feedback from that. On one hand, I've seen really America start to unite, whatever their side is on, left or right side. And you've actually seen some people actually start losing their jobs by celebrating the death of this individual that, some say he wasn't fully transparent. Some would say he actually tried to tackle these serious consequences in his way through peace and through rationale. The idea with all of this is it really feels there's been some type of uniting of America that's coming together, which is a positive thing, which is truly what Charlie stood for. And then, of course, you've seen others, like I said, that are happy he's passed away. Now, I think in general, just somebody who's passed away. I don't think anybody's really ever like happy somebody's dead. Now, that's the argument for the death penalty. Now, some would say take a life if somebody else took a life. I'm not going to get in that debate. All I'm trying to say is, even if you weren't a fan of Joe Biden and he were to have gotten assassinated, God forbid, part of me, part of anybody, part of you should be like, hey, that's my president. Whether I agreed with him or not, you shouldn't be happy when somebody dies, especially who's been elected from our neighbors and our brothers and sisters. And so the idea is not preaching to this. It's understanding that more times than ever, people are making long term investment decisions based on politics. And so I do want to spend some time a little bit later discussing of the benefits and the value that you should be looking at when investing by understanding doesn't with who's in office and what the ramifications are on your investment portfolio. I want to go deep in that conversation because I see it time and time again. People do not like to invest. People feel things are not going right. People truly get distraught emotionally, which affects them in their decision making abilities. You have people wanting to move states. You have people wanting to move countries, depending on their governor and depending on the presidency, and just depending on truly what they feel is a positive impact in their life. But you always have to take that step back because from everything that's negative, there is a positive. For one person who's upset, there's somebody who is happy. For a business that gets sabotaged, a new business arises. It happens all the time. Money doesn't disappear. It moves from one person to another. And by the way, if everybody was truly upset, well, wouldn't we just vote for somebody new? Right? That's the beauty of a democracy. This is not a communism country. It's democracy where our vote matters. And I'm not going to get into that argument if our vote matters. It does matter. And if you don't think it does, by voting, at least you now have the right to argue because you have went out of your way to move forward to say this is what I believe and this is what I want to achieve, this is what I want to vote for, this is what I want to work for. And so I start this episode wanting to discuss that with you, wanting to discuss that whatever happens in the world, take a step back on the discipline approach. I'll give you an example. I have a client who does this. I've actually done this a little bit, not to their scale, but they end up betting, sports betting. Now, this person is such an emotional person. Let's just say they love the Dodgers, right? I'm sure you love the Dodgers. And so you absolutely love the Dodgers, but they're going against a really good team. They'll say, you know what? I'm comfortable to lose $20 for my Dodgers to win. So they'll bet $20 on the other team to win. It's crazy how he does this. But he knows he's an emotional person. And because he's an emotional person, he would rather say, it's okay, I won 40 or $50 and the Dodgers lost. Did the same thing. Stakes were higher in the World Series. He bet $100 for them, the other team, to win. It's kind of wild, this mindset. Why do I bring this up to you? If you're so upset, if you are so pissed off, whatever the side is, whether you're pissed off about Joe Biden or pissed off about Donald Trump, whether you're mad about Charlie Kirk or mad about Ben Shapiro, whoever it may be, the idea is what? Hedge your bets. And the best way to hedge your bet is America, knock on wood, is undefeated. What do I mean by that? America, having its capitalistic nature, the goal of people in general, of resilient companies and people and everything, is to grow. By the way, folks, if you're just joining me, you're listening to Gabriel Shahin, certified financial planner, and your host of More Knowledge, More Wealth here on every weekend. And we're talking about all important topics of personal finance. And today I wanted to go over in this political climate and just telling you to chillax, to relax, to take a step back and reassess. Because as long as you're still turning on Google, does that make sense? How about using Google, turning on electricity, using your lights, eating food, drinking water, the economy will move forward. As long as you're still going to your job to make money and you need that check so you can pay rent, so you can pay your mortgage, so you can pay your car and your cell phone and everything else that you do for fun. As long as we can agree you do that, the economy is going to continue to move forward. And as long as you know the job you have today, there's potential for growth. Whether it's a company that's growing and you can grow with them, whether it's you and your skills growing and you can look for other items, or if it's the value you're providing for the firm or bank or company or law firm or the science analytics, biopharmaceutical meds, and you come up with a new drug, whatever it is, and you get a piece of that from the growth or promotion and so on, that's how America works. So my comment to you is ignore the noise. The noise out there is a real thing. So the items I want to prove to you where I'm right, which we'll talk about after the break here, is that you don't have to worry about the nonsense because can you control it? You made your vote. You didn't want Donald Trump. You didn't want Joe Biden. You already made it. And the other person won that you didn't want to win. Is it going to just melt you inside where you can no longer work going forward? We are survivors. We find a way to win. Whether you like it or not, we have to move forward. So we have to now assess our investments. And if you're unhappy with what's going on in our country right now, sometimes I say, man, I'm just going to make this up. I like this company. I use this company. So please don't get mad, Google. But let's just say for whatever reason, you hate Google. For whatever the reason is. You're like, man, they're doing all these ads. They're going corporate. All they're thinking about is money. How about you buy them? And if they really were to go out of business, good, you're happy. And if they end up flourishing and continuing to do well, you made money. I'm not telling you to buy them. This is not a recommendation, but you understand the mindset. If you're so mad about America, if you're so mad about suits, if you're so mad about everything, buy the S&P 500. If America continues to flourish, you're a winner. So it's called hedging your bets. This is why some people buy stocks and some people buy bonds. It's a way to diversify the mindset of where you think the economy is going. Nobody knows. So far, it's been been pretty good in 2025. It was good in 24. It was good in 23. Wasn't good in 2022. That was a silent recession. It was good in 2021, 2020, 19, 18, 17, 16. Should I keep going? There's more good than bad. Why? Because you and I control it. You and I are going to continue to buy what we want to buy. You and I are going to continue to work hard and get what we want to get. You and I are going to continue to think about the future. You and I are going to continue to save. You and I are going to continue to do all the right things to move us forward. You and I can control it, and nobody controls us. Now, you could argue, depending on your age with your parents, or someone who's happily married like me and say my wife, but the reality is that we are in control of our destiny. We control how hard we want to work. We can control if we want to get a side gig in this gig economy. We can control if we want to do Uber Eats or work in restaurants in the evenings. We can control a lot of things, but we have noticed that some people like to just control their R&R. They like to control their stability. They like to control their work-life balance. And nothing is wrong with that. Because some people say, would you rather work 30 years, 25 to 55, retiring at 55 is super early, and hustle and bustle and work 12 to potentially 16 hours a day for the next 30 years? Or would you rather not and work for 40 to 50 years? I can't answer that question, but you can. So focus on you, not the noise. Because when we come back, I'm going to prove to you it doesn't matter. So stay with me. I'll be right back. This is Gabriel Shahin, certified financial planner and president of Falcon Wealth Planning. We wanted to offer you a free financial assessment for listening to the show so you can help relate it to your specific situation. We offer multiple services such as retirement planning, where you are today, how retirement looks like, talking about Social Security, real estate, planning, even if you own a business, talking about taxes, not just how to save money today, but also throughout retirement. Talk about investments, making sure you're avoiding those high fees, costs, commissions, and also estate planning and insurance, just making sure you're properly protected if, God forbid, something were to happen. And we're offering 1 to 2 meetings, 1 to 2 hours of our time at no cost. Give us a call. We would love to help. Our phone number is 855-963-2526. That's 855-96-FALCON, like the bird. Or visit our website at falconwealthplanning.com. That's falconwp.com for short, and fill out the form fill right there on our site. Welcome back, folks. This is Gabriel Shahin, certified financial planner, and your host of More Knowledge, More Wealth here on every weekend. And we are talking about all important topics of personal finance. And I spent the first segment talking about the political climate that we're in right now. It just especially just feels weird and just uncomfortable with the sad passing of Charlie Kirk, with wife, with kids, young kids, growing families, seem like you had the future ahead of them. And whether each side of the spectrum you're on, assuming you're not an extremist, like nobody wants somebody dead. Like at the end of the day, we can say he was a good person. I hope we all can all agree he had maybe good intentions. Maybe he didn't agree with everything he said. There's surely not everything he said I agreed with. But the idea is simple, is that we don't condone violence. You've had every political leader say this, from Joe Biden to President Obama and so on, that just it is not okay what has happened. And so taking a step back, I want to prove to you it doesn't matter what's going on in the political climate, how it doesn't affect your portfolio. It really doesn't. I talked about how I'm going to be bringing that up. I just told you to chill out, relax, and focus on your investments. And I gave you ideas of hedging your bets, actually investing in markets where you're not happy with who the political leader is, who, whether it is Republicans, whether it is Democrats. Unfortunately, a lot of the negative publicity has been on these extreme Democrats. But that isn't the majority of the people that are out there. You can see this with who's running in office right now, or who were the leaders between Joe Biden and Obama and the previous Democrats. We had Democrats that some people loved, like Bill Clinton, for the most part. Economy flourished during that period. And so the idea is stay disciplined in your strategy and do not have a mindset that the person going into office's goal is to ruin America, to ruin the economy, to ruin businesses, and to ruin you. And if you do think that, if you're worried about Republicans or Democrats, then you're an extremist. Lately, the past few weeks, we've been talking about, the government has been talking about the extremists on the left, the Democratic extremists, which hence the assassination attempt. But if you don't agree with what I just said earlier, then you could be a right winged extremist. This is where you need to reassess your situation. And this is where you need to focus on investments. The person in office may have a different theory and philosophy as you, doesn't mean their goal is to ruin you or ruin America. So let's take a step back. Let's take a look at how I can prove to you it doesn't matter who's in office, and the stock market, the companies, and you still go to work the next day, and their goal is still to make money. Now, is there an impact? Sure, there's impact with tariffs. Sure, there's an impact with outsourcing jobs or insourcing jobs. Sure, there's an impact of increasing minimum wage. Sure, there's an impact of everything. And so the idea of this whole conversation still is what? It's ignoring the political side of it. Make your vote focus on you, the one thing you can control. So now let's focus on proof that it really doesn't matter. You have, from every single person that's been elected, you have, and I'm going to show these charts up here for those who are on the video cast. And for those who are not, look it up at falconwealthplanning.com backslash elections. That's falconwealthplanning.com/elections. And you're able, that's elections, that's plural, not singular. And by doing that, you could see some of these charts here that shows no matter who's in presidency, whether it's a 4-year period or 8-year period, the money goes up. The stock market goes up. The S&P 500 goes up. Let's continue the conversation. Now, it's not just the president, right? You still have Congress. Who controls the United States Congress? Yet again, it doesn't matter. Now, listen, I am going to acknowledge some anomalies, such as the Great Depression, such as the World Wars. Now, and keep in mind, during those periods, we've also had a couple different presidents, whether it's Democrat and Republican. But when you look and see how it's done throughout that period, it doesn't matter who's in control. The markets still go up. It doesn't matter if, in fact, they go from Republican to Democrat, the market appreciates it and goes up. Let's continue the conversation. Well, let's look at the annualized returns during US presidency. So far, in the second term of President Trump, seems to be pretty good in that 1 year, on track for over 10%. You look at Joe Biden, over 10%. You look at Donald Trump, over 10%. You look at President Obama, over 10%. Now you look at President Bush, no, it was not over 10%. It was actually in the negative, or it was in the negative period. But you still look at Clinton, positive, Bush, positive. You look at, excuse me, that Bush, that first Bush was during the financial crisis. That was W. Bush. And so that was Bush Jr., where it was negative. Because in fact, when you take a look at the uh, tech wreck, 2000, 2001, 2002, and the 2008 crisis, it actually lost almost 1% annualized during that period of time. Bill Clinton up, Bush Sr. positive, Reagan positive, Jimmy Carter positive, Gerald Ford positive, Nixon was not positive. When you look at Lyndon Johnson, JFK, Dwight Eisenhower, Harry Truman, FDR, all positive. Then, of course, you have during the World War, Hoover, where it dropped during his period to negative almost 30%. And so, but the average return is 9.5%. So you can look at a few things. Number one, the only three negatives were Republicans, but then you can also take a look at the top two were Republicans as well. So you, depending on how you slice it, it has positive returns, historically speaking, when you look since the Great Depression. By the way, folks, if you're just joining me, you're listening to Gabriel Shahin, certified financial planner, and your host of More Knowledge, More Wealth. And we're here on every weekend, and we're talking about all important topics of personal finance. I'm here to tell you this is during world wars. Right now, we have some wars, but they're not in America. They're overseas. They're in Russia. They're in Ukraine. They're in the Gaza Strip. But there is not here in our soil or our people going out there. So, like, we are taking a look at time in American history right now where actually things are relatively good. Now, when you look at increased costs, when you look at inflation, cost of living, home prices, like it's harder than ever to buy a house. And so, yes, there are certain things that are not good, right? I'm saying it's not great, but it's still good. When you look at unemployment, super low. Like people have jobs. The problem is we come from a society where even the poorest of people are living a pretty good lifestyle. They still have the new phones, they still have the new shoes, they still have a roof over their head. So I'm just saying that I want you to take a look at, regardless of who's in office, regardless of how mad you get, whether it's from an action or now a reaction, as we've seen, to control and focus your energy on things that you can control. Because the stock market doesn't give a damn what happens. It doesn't give a damn who's president. It doesn't give a damn who controls Congress thus far from what we've seen. Okay, well, let's focus maybe on return years before and after an election. Yet again, on this chart, you'll see from 2020 to 1928, way more positives than negatives. It's not even close. The average return from a subsequent to an election, to a year subsequent to an election, is 10.67 return a year. The average return during an election year is 11.57% return. Nobody cares. The rate of returns are over 10%. The stock market averages well over 10% a year. It all doesn't matter over time. There were some presidents that people didn't like in hindsight. Like, it doesn't matter. How about this? Let's look at, because this is another one that's popular, bond market performance. Yet again, you have almost all positive here. The average return from a year subsequent to an election is 7.33%. The average return during a US election is 6.84%. Almost all of them is positive, except for 2012 with Obama and 2020 during the Biden and Trump. So, and the first Obama was Obama versus Romney, to be specific, not the McCain one. Yet again, these are things that people just choose to ignore. Any way you slice it, it works. It's positive. And when you want to look and you want to take a look of how the stocks have behaved during the actual election month, which, as we know, is that Super Tuesday, right? It's in November. When you take a look, any way you slice it, oh, by the way, since 1926, even taking into account some of the war periods that are there, it's positive, guys. Any way you slice it. Sure, we had periods during 2008 meltdown, during the dot-com bubble, but at the end of the day, it works and it's positive. What am I trying to tell you? To chillax, to relax. The proof is on what has already happened. How is this time different? You've had people protesting wars in Vietnam and for students getting killed on campus from our government. How do you think that worked out? People were pissed about that. People getting drafted. People think World War II was the last draft. Vietnam was the last draft. How do you think people liked it where their kids went and died for the country on a war that they never even wanted to go into, that we, quite frankly, we lost? How do you think they felt that coming back and being spat on and booed veterans from going there saying they've killed children in their war in Vietnam? How do you think this is felt? This hasn't changed. Quite frankly, this is nothing compared to what America has faced in the past. Focus on the things you can control and pray to God that we don't have to worry about some of these issues that we're facing. Folks, that was a fast show. That was a fast show, folks. I want to thank you for tuning in with us this weekend. You can always reach out to myself or any one of our colleagues here at Falcon Wealth Planning. Our phone number is 855-963-2526. That's 855-96-FALCON, like the bird. Or visit our website at falconwealthplanning.com. That's falconwp.com for short, where you can go and visit our Knowledge Center, which redirects you to YouTube. We have over 1 million views, folks. And if you want us to discuss anything on YouTube, on the show, whatever, send your inquiry to radio@falconwp.com. That's radio@falconwp.com. And if you want this episode, any one of our previous episodes, you can go on podcast, Spotify. We have them all there. And folks, we want to thank you for your trust. We want you to feel free and feel comfortable to reach out with any questions that you have. I want you to have a fantastic weekend. Have a great week, and God bless.